Are you ready to be woke?
Yes, awoke me with the Oscar buzz.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Metacast podcast. That is the podcast that explores itself, explores ourselves, and explores the self in general. My name is Ty. I am one of your co-hosts.
And I am your very poorly cast co-host, Distance.
And tonight is the Metacast movie show where we talk about Netflix's 2021 Awake. Awake is a 2021 sci-fi thriller directed by Mark Rasso, screenplay by Mark and Joseph Rasso, with a story by Gregory Poirier.
It stars Gina Rodriguez, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Barry Pepper, and Finn Jones, with a tomato meter rating of 30% and an audience score of 27%.
Funny story about this, the starring. My parents also watched this movie over the weekend.
Oh God!
And my dad read the young woman that plays the daughter. Her name is Ariana something with a G. He thought it was Ariana Grande. It was in this movie. And like, the whole time they were like, "That's a really good makeup job. That doesn't even look like her."
So wait, were there no budget figures for this film?
I could not find any budget information online. No, I have no idea. Yeah. But we get a box office take of 0. It was not in any theaters. It went straight to Netflix. I'll tell you that. But yeah. So the story of this. So following a global catastrophe that not only wiped out all electronic devices across the planet, but also got rid of humans' ability to sleep, scientists are attempting to find a cure for the insomnia before the human race is wiped out. And the story focuses on Jill, who is a former soldier. She discovers that her daughter actually may be the cure, may be the solution. And will she choose to protect protect her child, or possibly sacrifice what is most dear to her to help save the world? So initial thoughts on this. When it comes to this movie, I am really, really reminded of Bambi a lot. It's not really specific parts of the movie. But so much of it, the acting, the dialogue, the pacing, it made me think of My Boy Thumper. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say nothing at all. So what can I say nice about this movie? The premise was kind of interesting, I guess. At least it wasn't too long. They kept it short at, 90 minutes, basically. I do think near the end, it's not a spoiler, but the way they portray people kind of losing their mind a little bit to the lack of sleep is kind of interesting. They did some cool stuff with effects in there. But really, like, it did have some good laughs. I don't know if they were meant to be funny or if I was just laughing at the movie. I'm not sure, but that's the good stuff I could say about this. But no, fuck Thumper. Honestly, like, I think this sucked. The best part of this to me was reading the synopsis. I was like, oh, that's a cool premise. That sounds really interesting. And it's about 3-4 minutes into the movie, I was like, oh, this is not good. And it did not really get any better for me the entire time. So if I was going to give this any sort of verdict, as far as should you watch, I have to give this a no. I honestly think a lot of parts of it were horrible. I think that if you skip this, you're not really gonna miss anything. Like, read the premise and think up a movie, and whatever you think of is gonna be better than this. I guarantee it. What about you? What's your opinion on this?
So I don't know if you saw the faces I was making when you were talking. I am outraged at the fact that you didn't have more bad shit to say about this movie. Like, okay, my first line of my notes for this movie is, I already hate this intro scene. The cool camera angles at first, kind of in the follow cam at the beginning, and then it got kind of weird and didn't work. Like, the moment I saw the intro scene to this film, I was like, this is going to be garbage. And when I read the synopsis, I was like, this is a really interesting sci-fi idea.
Yeah.
It's going to be garbage. Like, that's because and also, I don't know if you noticed, character Dodge.
Yeah.
That is the stowaway guy, Shamir Anderson, I think is his name.
Oh,
that's the
was it?
stowaway guy in the movie Stowaway. It's the same actor.
I did not put that together. That's cool. Okay. Huh.
And honestly, like,
Wow, he's in some good stuff then. He's really killing it.
Like, yeah. Well, yeah. He's working.
Yeah. He's getting paid.
Sorry,
true.
buddy. You deserve better scripts. I think you actually did a decent job, man. The only thing that even resembled a character arc was one character in the film. I thought that the way that they were showing people lose their minds was everything was just so overdone, and they tried so hard to make it like sci-fi horror. And there's scenes where it's dark, which I'm okay with dark, but it's dark for no reason. Yeah. Like there's no deeper meaning to be found. There's no art in the darkness. There's no introspection. It's just bad all the way around. I mean, there's only the the best acting in the film was a couple of the supporting roles, and True. The star, I don't know what the hell they were thinking with her. I get that if you maybe like have kids, particularly if like you're a mom, maybe, I don't know, it might just for relation to the protagonist, it might like strike a chord with you, maybe. But like, please, for the love of God, I am so glad I only wasted like an hour and some change on this movie. Please don't. Like, we wasted our time, so you don't have to. Like, not just I'd suggest that you don't, just please, I'm begging you not to watch this. So yeah, it's a no. It's 100% no. There's nothing that saves this movie whatsoever. I got nothing good to say.
Yeah. It was really bad. Let's I don't know if you guys even care if we spoil it. Like we could bring Spoiler Terry out and let him talk about the end, but like this goes nowhere. I don't even know if there is an end to spoil. Like we don't even need you. Just get out of here.
There's nothing to spoil.
There really isn't.
The only thing this movie will spoil is your night.
Yeah, true. Like it was, yeah. Honestly, like I think I would rather watch Dark Crimes again than this. And that's saying something. I really did not enjoy that.
I actually gave Dark Crimes a yes for the concepts. Mm-hmm. But looking back, I realized I was in my infancy as like a movie reviewer. And I didn't understand what we were really doing here. And the value we provide, I think, especially in the Should You Watch section, is we waste our time so you don't have to. I mean, that's really what happened with this one. Like, I even said that explicitly. Like, and you know, we
that's a good
tend to be.
I like that for Should You Watch. I like that.
Yeah. We should use that. I like that actually. Yeah,
it's
a good idea. And you know, like we tend to be a little. In the past, I think in particular, we've tended to be like a little more forgiving of some stuff and tried to find the good in some movies. And, you know, like even when I give a movie a no, like I'll say like if, like caveat. Yep. But if what you want is a good movie, no.
Yeah. I totally agree. I called myself a movie slut for a while, where it was like I was giving yeses to everything just because I didn't want to like critique someone's art. But like I can't even call this art.
But you know, like by putting your stuff out there, which hell, that's what we're doing anyway. By putting your stuff out there, you're making yourself vulnerable to criticism. It's a risk that you realize as an artist. And you know, like I once again, I respect people making stuff, making art. I don't know who it was, but I was listening to some writer talk about how people don't realize how much energy it takes to make a bad book.
I'm sure, yeah.
And I think it's the same with movies. Like, you know, yeah, they did some work. They worked their hours. They wanted to make a good product here, and they failed.
Yeah, I do hate when people. I've heard this before from like even people that I know and talk to, but it's like they have that mentality that like because they couldn't do better, you shouldn't critique it really, or that they wouldn't critique it. Like, but it's like, yeah, but you don't make movies. Like that's like if you went into surgery. And your surgeon like completely botched the job. Like, oh well, they did better than I could, so I shouldn't be mad. It's like, well, that is not how the world works. Like, this person is like they're meant to do this. If they didn't do it well, you're completely fine to critique that.
You should assess them by the standard of their peers.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, and the peers here are movie makers. And you know, I thought, dude, like, oh my God, like. nothing happens. There's no character development.
Yep.
There's no growth. There's one tiny character arc maybe for like Matilda, and her arc is like it's like mm, mm, oh,
Yep.
like
Yep.
and there's like one little bump and it's basically a flat and it's like arc. And you're like, oh, okay, and that's it. Like, there's no deeper meaning to be had. Like, the people that should have had more screen time didn't. Jennifer Jason Leigh was sort of a kind of like a heartthrob kind of actor back in the 80s.
Okay.
She was in a couple of movies with Alec Baldwin back when he was all young and dreamy.
Now he's just dreamy.
And I think later in her career, she's in an awesome miniseries starring Benedict Cumberbatch called Patrick Melrose. I don't know if I told you about that.
Yeah, you told me about that. Yeah.
It's really fucked up. Like it's about a young man that's an addict that had a very troubled childhood. And Jennifer Jason Leigh plays his mom in the film, and you see a lot of flashback scenes to when he was younger with her in them, and she's excellent in that. Later in her career, I think she's done a lot of good work. She was in Woman in a Window. In The Window, she was the actual wife, Jane, I think.
I was gonna say that we were a few weeks off from doing the accidental Amy Adams thing again. I had no idea she was in this. Yeah.
Oh damn, yeah, you're right. We kind of, yeah, I guess we 6 Degrees of Amy Adams, right?
Yeah.
But I think that in her later career, she's done a lot of pretty cool stuff and like picked some good roles and like done some great work. I mean, she was in a few movies that I really, really enjoyed. Sorry, there's a fly.
Gotcha.
I think she was in that one movie with Natalie Portman. Did you see Annihilation?
Yeah, I liked that.
Yeah. Wasn't an awesome movie. It was cool because it was weird, I think.
Yeah.
Not the best thing I've ever seen, but certainly got my gears turning and also fucked me up a little bit. That one was crazy. And she did really good work in that. And I think that it's a tiny role that she did, and I'm very sad about the fact that there wasn't more of her. And I actually like Shamir Anderson. I hope I'm saying his name right. I think he's really good, and I think that if he has enough time to sort of get some more roles, maybe fires his agent and finds somebody that gets him better scripts, and like it really takes the time to like sort of craft his art, then I think he could actually do some really good work.
That was Dodge, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played Dodge.
Yeah, I think he was
another thing.
Honestly, I thought the best actor in the movie. Like, I thought like, all the scenes he was in. Yeah, I thought he was. Yeah, I thought it was great.
And another thing is that we sometimes crap all over actors when the casting director is to blame.
True.
Anybody that didn't like Batfleck, just don't blame Ben. I mean, we know what kind of roles he's good for, and maybe that wasn't one of them. I didn't hate Batfleck. I actually thought he was okay.
Yeah, I was fine with it. Yeah,
I think he was a victim of some bad writing.
He definitely put in work for that role too. I mean, he got in fantastic shape. I think that he took it very seriously. It's not like he phoned it in or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he wanted to do a good job. And, like I actually trust, just on the subject of Batman, off topic of this film, I trust the casting decision for Pattinson as Batman. I think he's going to have a very different take. And we've done a couple of movies that Pattinson was in, and that guy can fucking act.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that actually. Yeah, that'll be one for next year. Actually, we talked about this. Didn't it actually get postponed until sometime later in 2023?
Yeah, I think it's going way back now. Let's do a movie news moment, guys, if you'd like.
Yeah, when is the release of that?
It's called The Batman, right?
The Batman. Yeah, it says 2022 here. Oh, March 4th. Okay, so in less than so we could actually the sometime in the end of next year. We could actually cover that. Cool. I'm really excited about that. I mean, I love Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Paul Dano, Colin Farrell, and Jeffrey Wright, and Andy Serkis. Like, the cast is fantastic. I don't think but like you're saying, it's like if it ends up being an issue, I'm gonna blame the casting director, not necessarily the actors, because those are all fantastic actors that have done some great work. There Will Be Blood is one of my favorite movies ever, and Paul Dano is right up there next to oh my god, fucking method actor McGee, Jesus Christ, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, I was about to say. Well, the thing is like I wonder if the Daredevil curse will still happen, because Affleck played Daredevil, and Colin Farrell played, what's the guy's name? Bullseye, isn't that his name?
Yeah, I think it was Bullseye. Yeah.
So hopefully the Daredevil curse doesn't come on in there. You know, but hey, the former Matt Murdock is not in here, so hopefully it'll be okay.
And I mean, there's no Green Lantern curse. Like Ryan Reynolds did great as Deadpool, so like it's fine, right?
That's
like,
true.
You could be in and same thing with, oh my god, both Michael B. Jordan and Chris Evans played really shitty Human Torches and really shitty Fantastic Four movies, and then went on to do great roles in other comic book movies.
Yeah,
so I've got faith. Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan was awesome as what's that guy's name again?
Killmonger.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is like he's not really a typecast villain. And you know, we hated Awake so much that we're doing everything we can to talk about every movie but that right now. That's actually what's happening.
I almost have literally nothing to talk about with this movie. My notes are the shortest that I have ever taken in the entire, close to 2 years that we've been doing this. I have
so go ahead.
No, no, literally, all I was saying was I have almost nothing to say. So I was.
Keep saying nothing.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so wasn't that garbage actor? Yeah, Finn Jones was the garbage actor that was in Iron Fist.
I wondered where I knew him from before. Yes. Okay.
Subject to bad casting. Oh my god.
Yeah.
What a fucking disaster. Like he actually did okay in this until he got shot in the head by that cop. Spoilers. And then, but actually when that happened, I was like, pooh, and it's like, oh, thank God. I was like, that guy gets no more screen time. Like, ugh. So you know what? I got a lot of notes. Do you want me to just go through here and rattle off all of this bashing I have in here? Because there's a lot.
I've got one good bashing in the beginning. I did think it was okay. One part that I did think was funny, but another one of these, I don't know if it was meant to be funny or not. Of course, there's the dude claiming it's terrorists. It's like, maybe it's the Chinese. They built all this shit, right? Maybe they just turned it off.
I mean, of course, you got to have that in there. I mean, well, it's relevant for the times. It's not the times. It's relevant for humanity. Shit like that always happens. I don't like the these days talk, because I don't think that people are that much different. We're just augmented with more technology. Yep. So
that was probably the most realistic part. Is you would definitely hear that if this really happened.
Do you? Oh my God! I'm sorry. This I cannot talk about it.
This movie actually made Distance speechless. That's hard to do. That shit ain't easy.
I never shut up. So I just find myself stuttering with the ridiculousness of it. I'm overwhelmed by the post-traumatic stress that this film has caused me. So there's a line. It's like at the very beginning in the church, which, by the way, I think they tried way too hard to make religious people look crazy. Like, they were trying way too hard.
Well, in all reality, we just saw one group, right? So there are a ton of crazy groups. So it's not. I don't feel like they were saying like, oh, all of Christianity would do this. It's just like, hey, here's a crazy sect and how they're reacting.
I think a lot of people are not good at differentiating. So
true.
Either way, you're not going to watch this movie if you think we have good opinions anyway. Yeah. So it doesn't matter. Please don't. Yeah. And also they're all sleep deprived and on the verge of like mental breakdown. So that might have had a bit to do with it.
Which, actually, I watched a YouTube video recently where a guy kind of had to preface a lot of that. He was reading through. Have you ever seen online? There's a lot of these like iceberg memes, which, you know, it's like the whole picture of the iceberg and you go X layers deep and like, okay, so he was doing an iceberg of religions and cults. And he had to like very often make sure he's like, now I want to make sure that say that it's like, just because this group that is called this, you know, is this crazy, that does not mean that all of this is, because, you know, there's like the Islam Brotherhood. And it's like, this does not speak for all of Islam. You know, it's like, this is a very small sect that like believes something crazy. So it's like, that's how I kind of saw that group that we saw in the church. It's like, this isn't necessarily all of Christianity, but like, this is a crazy group of people.
Okay. So we've now brought balance back to the Force. Right?
Yeah, I tried. Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Or we're closer to balance than we were. But at like the very beginning of the church scene, this had to be a joke. They had to put this in here to be funny. He goes, maybe we're meant to be awake because you need to be woke to see how the world really is.
Yeah, that was...
He actually said that. And I was like,
yeah.
Was that a joke?
That cringed me out of my seat. I actually remember that line. Like, that was the line that I cringed so hard I got up and got a drink. I was like, that was where I cracked open my first drink for the night. I was like, all right, no, this is gonna be this kind of movie. Like, yeah, we're not doing this sober.
We're gonna need to drink this entire drink in less than 10 seconds and possibly beat my head against the wall 7 or 8 times, then slam another drink, and then slam my face through the wall, and then maybe I can stand to watch this movie.
I was trying, man. Every single part of this disappointed me, down to even like, okay, so even at the very beginning when I put it on, you know, Netflix had the warnings that it's like, oh, there's going to be nudity. I was like, oh, okay, all right. Like, it's not the nudity you want to see. Like, it is not at all what you're hoping for. If you make it this far into that far into the movie, like, trust me, it is not what you're hoping to see at all.
Yeah, I think so Craig's dad says this thing that I think is really funny. It's funny, I haven't actually seen Craig's dad much in the last couple of years, but speaking of Craig, Craig is our friend who's been on here a couple times with us, who also does a show with us and Ty's dad John called the Metacast Music Dudes. It's on YouTube, on Ty's YouTube channel, Tyla TV. So if you like music and you think you want to see how bad our opinions are about that, then please check that out. We'd appreciate it.
Actually, I'm going to drop the link to the most recent episode in chat. You guys can check it out.
Craig's dad says this thing where he says, I like my movies with the sex and violence, heavy on the violence. And it made me think about that with but it's just a funny thing. Like he says a lot of stuff. Like there's a thing he took from Steve Martin where he'll be like, however, comma, and I say that all the time.
I've heard you say that.
And I don't mean to. It just comes out. It's like automatic now. But yeah, that line was weird. The part where he's like up there is like, so can you sleep? Because they need a miracle. And she's like, I can sleep. It's just hard when I'm not tired. Yeah. Like, we're gonna need you to sleep, girl. Like, what the fuck?
Every fucking, like, the script felt like a first draft. Every fucking line I heard felt like they were just, that's good enough. No reason to rewrite this scene. Every like shot felt like the first take. And we're just like, yeah, we got it. All right, let's move on. Like, yeah. Oh man.
There were a couple spots like where let's just I'm gonna finish the ridiculousness of the church scene. Like the way that they wrote it was god awful. Like some of the shit in there was so dumb. It's like, I don't think anybody would say this. If she can sleep, that means we can too.
Yep.
Miracles spread. Yep. What?
Yeah. They did not at all connect the logic to all of a sudden we need to sacrifice her and we'll all be able, like, it was, there was no attempt at all to make that make sense. It was just like, all right, we need there to be a tension moment here. All right, the church is going to try to kill Matilda. Let's go.
Yeah, show us, don't tell us. Yeah. And then, like, okay, question though. Does your brain really swell when you don't sleep?
I have no idea, but that was like, I just bought it because I had too many problems with everything else in this movie that I was just like, yeah, sure, that sounds right. Sure.
I had too many problems and not enough drinks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then the scene where Brian, that was Finn Jones' character, before he gets shot, did someone actually throw a Bible at him?
Yes, someone threw a Bible and hit him in the face with it. Yep. Sleep deprivation connected to decreased attention and working memory, but also affects other. Okay, so this article just talks about, can lack of sleep cause swelling of the brain? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it does. Yeah, there is inflammation that happens. Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily the linchpin like they talked about, like that being one of the most important things. But yeah, apparently that is real. But
There's just all this weird shit. Like, okay, the guys in the garage scene where they're trying to find, they say they need an old car that didn't have a battery in it whenever whatever happened. Well, first of all, how did these guys come up with this theory, and how the fuck does that work?
Yeah, that it made me wonder when the military jeeps pull up and all of a sudden they've got cars that can work, and it's like they didn't really go into explaining it, which I'm glad they didn't just tell us, like we were talking about. Like I would rather be shown rather than told. But yeah, how did those two dipshits figure out that that's how that? Yeah, so much of it has just plot holes all through it. Yeah.
The thing is that okay, I know that electromagnetic pulse. I know that the radiation from the sun is electromagnetic radiation, but they say, oh, we think it's a solar flare. Well, wouldn't the Earth's magnetic field, isn't that one of the primary things that protects the planet from that?
Yes.
And then, have you ever, just completely off subject, have you ever seen a picture of what the Earth's magnetic field actually looks like if it were to reverse polarities? It makes no intuitive sense. Like, it doesn't look like what you'd expect it to look like.
I mean, I've seen like artist renditions of the Earth's magnetic field, but not specifically like if it were to reverse polarities, huh?
If it doesn't, like, intuitively, it doesn't look like what you'd expect it to. Like the lines are going all kinds of fucking places. It's weird. But even if
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've seen this. Yeah, can I put this on screen? How do I do this? Yeah, I have seen like this artist rendition where it's like during a reversal that it would actually be kind of like well, it's because I mean, okay, so the north and south looks kind of similar to how you would expect things to look. I mean, a lot of it's organized in the actual, like, the circular, basically the donut around the earth that makes. But it's not just as simple as like all of a sudden north becomes south and south becomes north. They move through each other. So like during a reversal, there's all sorts of crazy like that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's much more complicated than most like normal people can like get. And like and then but I don't. And then she just happens to run into the crazy dude from the car shop, and he so poetically crashed his car and killed himself, and he's so poetically sitting there not actually unconscious but dying. Like,
yep.
Really?
Well, didn't she even say that it was the people working at the quote unquote hub that shot up their car or whatever? Like somehow they figured that out. Like, also, dude, just the production value was very noticeably low in a lot of areas. Like, why was the hub just someone's house with like a fucking like a 4-digit combination like electric lock on just next to a normal sliding glass door? Like, anyone, like, that's gonna keep anyone out that would not just break through the door. Like, made no. Did you notice that the soldiers, there was literally 2 rifles in the movie? One guy had one rifle, and then they had the rifle that had my optic on it, and then the tan laser device. They just traded that back and forth between 4 different people. They showed the same person with the exact same setup rifle, like 4 different people with the exact same setup rifle. Like, it was silly.
I mean, it might have been budgeting issues, but still, like, it doesn't make for a good film. And I think that the editing was really bad.
I agree. Yeah.
The transitions were garbage. Like, none of the editing really made a whole lot of sense. Like, and even in like little places where you'd expect a experienced editor to be good, like conversational sections.
Yeah.
Where they're cutting between, like in the car, a lot of it was kind of weird. The
pacing was off with like
the points where she had the gun, I think like pointed at Dodge, like the way they picked up the edge of the gun with Dodge in a way that just looked shitty to me.
Yep.
It didn't create any drama because like there should be some sense of like threat, like the audience should feel some sense of threat if the shot with a weapon trained on somebody or like a knife at someone's throat, it should be presented in a way that gives the audience a feeling of unease. That when Dodge manages to get the gun away from her, that the reason why is because he felt threatened because this lady's pointing a gun at him. But you just don't get that feeling. And I'm not convinced in Jill as a heroine at all.
Yep. Not at all.
Like I don't really like the term heroine. I think it's silly. A hero. I don't really like the her as the hero of the story because there's like it's so predictable too.
Yes.
Like at the beginning of the movie, it's like, you don't have no custody of these kids. And then like, because you were using, I'm like, okay, drug addict mom. And she, I wonder if she's going to end up having the kids back by the end of the movie.
Yep. Just like what you were talking about with the shots with the gun, it's like you really touched on something when you were saying like the audience should feel the threatening, like the audience should feel something other than disappointment. And that is like in any scene in this, it's like, yeah, the where it was supposed to give the audience a certain emotion or certain feeling, it really, in my opinion, every single time missed the mark. It never once felt like, yeah.
I was so fucking bored. Like I've got like 8 bullet points in my notes that just say I'm bored.
Yep.
It's just I had no investment in any of the characters. I felt like the guy that played the son. What was the kid's name? Lucius Oyos, I guess. I felt like he was an actor in one of those videos they showed you in like middle school about like what not to do or how to handle bullies.
Yeah.
Like I just. It was bad. And like some of the weird fucking dialogue when like Matilda asks him if he's ever done it with his girlfriend. I'm like, where's the band? I don't.
Yep.
Are you trying to make it more like real? Like I don't.
Noah's never had sex. Oh.
Like yeah. Like what?
All right.
And then. Like the part where the convict guys show up and he's like, I'll let you go, just leave that little boy. Like what?
Yeah.
Like, and who cast this guy? Like what the?
Yeah, so much of that dialogue just, like I'm saying, it felt like every line was the first draft of it, and every time it was delivered, that was just like, yeah, that's we got it. Let's move on to the next shot. Like it's when she shoots the gun in the library and then finds out that he's like standing at the end of the aisle and he's just like, just don't shoot at me again, okay? Like it sounded like he read that line and was questioning the director, is like, is this what I'm supposed to say? And they're like, and cut, we got it.
Okay. Was it? No, I was asking. No, it's fine. It's fine. That was great.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if it was great. It was great. Could you direct me? I directed you. It's fine. And then like I hear banjo music, like Road Blockade thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which, by the way, that was the only piece of camera work I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I liked the way that they framed that scene, like in the car.
I agree.
I liked they had some angles that were dramatic. Like they showed the angle at Jill's feet, which gives the audience an understanding of how far she is out of the car. I think that was a cool little shot.
Yes. If this was like a 1 minute like, yeah, true. If this was like a 1 minute YouTube video, that would have been all right.
Yeah, right. If it was, if they just did that, then it would have been fine. But they did kind of zoom in on the seat and kind of cheat a little bit because they just like picked up another camera and another take and then like sort of like zoomed out from the car. And there's ways. I mean, a lot of people don't notice, but there's ways to make that scene work if you have the right equipment to do it that way, where they didn't have to like do a trick to cut
like an
in
actual
there.
One shot. Yeah, that would have been really cool. That would have been very difficult though.
Yeah, and that editing is shit there too. I mean, it's obvious what's happening. Like I'm not usually great at picking up on camera tricks, but if I could see that shit was happening, but it's like I'm not saying that it would have been easy to get that shot. and maybe with the budget that they were on, which like we weren't even able to get any figures on,
Yeah.
and maybe they couldn't afford it. Like maybe there's a lot of stuff that they couldn't afford, but it's like,
that's
why make a movie at all if you're not going to give people enough money to make it, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what the process is like to try to do a Netflix movie. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's like, do they create it and then try to sell it to Netflix? Do they pitch an idea to Netflix and then get advances? And like, yeah, so I'm not sure what that process is actually like. But yeah, if it is that you pitch an idea to Netflix and Netflix gives you advances and a budget, then yeah, I think they completely missed the mark with this, and they were not able to execute the premise at all with what they were given. That scene, even like even though I enjoyed that scene, some of the camera work, some of the action in that scene, how that happened, like that is the one scene honestly that felt kind of cool. Like I get, like, in all reality, it's probably just because compared to the rest of it, it was not nearly as bad, but then it's like it completely ruined it to me, because as we leave that scene, all of a sudden she was able to just drive straight through the roadblock, and it's not really like, it just made no sense. It's like she slammed into it once, and then because Matilda pressed the gas pedal while she was about to be pulled out of the car, now they were able to drive through it.
Well, it's also like, why is this a thing that sleep deprived people are doing? Like, that's the question too, is because nobody really knows what's it like if nobody can sleep. How crazy do we get? And like that too, like, and how do these people even have like the faculties to be able to attack some people in a car? And why, if they're that batshit crazy right now because of sleep deprivation, why haven't they just eaten each other or something fucking crazy like that?
Exactly.
And you know, I get it. Like, the thing that I say it all the time, the plot must go on. So sometimes there's a few things that you need to do that just don't make sense just so the plot happens. But I just don't, I don't know, man. The problem resolution kind of energy, the up and down, like the waves and troughs, like it just didn't, it was just wrong. Like all the pacing, not just of the scenes, but the pacing of like the conflict and the resolutions, like they didn't make a lot of sense to me. It just it just didn't get the audience
every single time. Yeah. How did she have that gun that long without ever checking the magazine and realizing that there was literally only one bullet in the chamber and an empty mag? Like, how did that happen?
Who apparently was in the military, who should understand how to use a gun.
Yep. And why, just like you're talking about with the conflict resolution, that scene, then when she finally fires the one round and the slide locks back and she realizes that she's out, and all the prisoners are there, why did Dodge come back with the car? What was his, like, we don't learn anything about him or why that would have been his motivation, why he did that. None of it, just nothing paid off in a way that made sense. Everything just felt so contrived and just like, oh, okay, so this happens now. All right, cool.
It's interesting though, because I actually dated the whatever they call it, the occupational code or whatever, 68 whiskey she mentions. I dated a girl that was in 68 whiskey in the Army.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they're like some kind of combat medics or doctors or some shit. I don't remember, but I don't really know how much they fight. But yeah, and the only reason why I know is I never cared, but my cousin is a Marine, and like whenever he's a Marine, so it's like whenever someone says they were in the military, he always kind of asks them a couple questions just to prod them, just to figure out if they're like, you know.
You always ask the MOS.
A poser, as he would say, yeah. And, you know,
well, that's more than a poser. That's actually stolen valor at a certain point, right?
Yeah. It's not really like it's a very uncool thing. But then she mentioned that, and apparently their designations are different in the Marines. Because I don't know, they had like when military people start talking, I'm just like, you guys are confusing the shit out of me. Like, I don't.
Apparently 68 whiskey is the Army's designation for combat medic, and it's so it's open to males and females with a minimum line scores on the ASVAB of 107 GT and 101 ST. So, yeah, you gotta get decent scores to. Yeah. I mean, which makes sense for a medic. Like, you don't really just want like just anyone being the squad medic, right?
Which is like, Should I have been more curious about what her job was?
Why did the film give us any reason to give a fuck about any
Well,
part
no, I
of
mean
any
the
character?
girl I was
Like,
dating.
oh, I thought you meant the character of the movie. I don't know.
I mean, we didn't date
how
for
long?
that long.
I was supposed to say, how long did you guys date? Did you really get into it?
It was like 6 months, maybe 3 to 6 months. When you date somebody and it sounds like a sentence for a misdemeanor, it's probably not like a good thing. But yeah, she mentioned that when she said that, because I remembered her saying it. And when the character said it, I was like, huh. So I guess combat medic means like you have to fight people. And you have to help people too. So I imagine they would understand, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it makes it interesting. Not to mention like when I'm shooting, like I have a sense of when the slide locks back, and I never take the weapon and go, it's you just kind of like it's not. That's what she did when the slide locked back on the gun. And I was like, what a weird thing to do. Because you don't do that, because if you're at the gun range, you always keep the muzzle downrange. You don't point it at the booth next to you like that, especially if you don't know if it's malfunctioned or if it's actually like finished firing. Usually it's pretty clear when the slide locks back. You can feel it if you shot the gun enough. And that was an unfamiliar weapon to her, but still, like, I would have expected her to be a little more familiar with it.
Yeah. None of it felt realistic. Yeah. Like all the little nuanced things about the characters like that, everything else. Yeah. It does make me want to plug a little bit. There was a you remember there's a production company from Austin, Texas called Rooster Teeth. They did the Red versus Blue series. That was kind of like how they had whenever they got into doing more like live action and serious stuff, they had a show called Day 5 that was a very similar premise to this, where it was literally humans could not sleep anymore, and it picked up on day 5 of no one sleeping. And that's why it was named that and everything. Like, they did that so much better than this. And like it's like, that was like a low quality, like, just like this like production house that grew up on video game content and stuff. And it's like, that's saying something.
That is saying a whole lot, dude. Like, and I think that the person that acted like the crazy sleep deprived thing that best was Jennifer Jason Leigh as Dr. Murphy.
Yeah. And even that rubbed me the wrong way in a lot of places. Like,
well, she's got kind of a weird acting style anyway. She plays some very strange roles too. Like, they're all a bit odd from what I've seen in the last like 10 years or so of this work that she's done. But it also, I found it strange that, okay, so the protagonists seem to keep it together so much better than everybody else with the sleep deprivation until a certain point in the film where I guess the writers decided it made the most sense. I don't know. Because there's a moment where like it's just a sharp drop off of like mental faculties.
I really like, I wanted to like this too. Like, after reading the premise, I was like, oh man, that actually sounds interesting. Like, this could be cool. And nope, it's not. It's just not. Oh man.
I feel like if you take any stills of this episode, it'll just be me with a disgusted face.
Yeah,
because I've made my gross face so many times this episode. Like, one nice touch, the male doctor.
I forget that actor's name. Yeah,
I've no clue. His voice was wicked creepy.
Who was that?
He's in other things.
Jill Bellows. Yeah, I've totally seen him in other stuff. He was in the Shawshank Redemption. That's where I know him from.
What?
He was Tommy in the Shawshank Redemption.
What's his name?
Well, in this he was Dr. Katz, apparently, with a K. He was also he was also in Patriot.
Oh. Apparently he was in a TV series called Love in the Time of Corona. The Twilight Zone. Oh, the remake they did. Oh.
Yeah. I knew I recognized him though. I think it was mainly from Shawshank Redemption, which is crazy considering like what that movie is close to 30 years old now. But he's got a pretty distinct face though. Like he's the way his eyes are set and his nose, like he still looks similar to who he did 30 years ago. But.
And the way he was talking in that scene was like so spooky too. He's like, "Oh no, I'm a doctor. We don't hurt people." And it's just weird. And then the scene where Jill walks in to try to talk to the lady that's able to sleep. There's that one soldier there that's kind of like up high and just sort of just has his gun on his sling. And is he supposed to look tired or sinister? And what is this whole idea that when people get really tired, they just become evil to the core?
I mean, I'm like, okay, so devil's advocate.
They're also trying not to die.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there is just some sort of almost, instinctual thing where as you're just losing any sense of reality, like, I don't know if it's evil or just like you become more basic and more instinctual. Like I don't think it was done well at all. And then the whole shootout where like one dude hears something and starts shooting, and all of a sudden everyone is just shooting at nothing.
He saw a pine cone and said grenade.
That's right.
And then kicked the pine cone.
Yep.
What the fuck? But then somehow every time there's one soldier about to kill them, someone else shoots that guy.
Yep. And
also,
and they're all great shots, even though they haven't slept in like 6 days. All of a sudden they're nailing headshots and
just blasting the hell out of each other. Also, military friends. Just fast forward to, this is hilarious actually, 1, 2, 3. Fast forward to 1 hour and 23 minutes. There's a good joke there for you. Unless you're in the Coast Guard, then you'll just be mad at me.
Oh man.
The only surviving guy is the Coast Guard guy. He's totally clueless. He's like, who are you? Because all of
and her answer is, I'm their mother, and he's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I accept that.
I really feel like they put him in there as a joke. I really, really do. Because like all of my military friends make fun of the Coast Guard. Okay, for the record, Coast Guard people, I can't do your job. I know it's difficult. You trained hard. It's not an easy thing. I respect you. Thank you very much for what you do. Yeah. But I'm really sorry. All my Marine and Army, even my Navy friends, are like really mean about it. So they'll laugh. It's okay. There's just military jokes like that they make fun of each other. Like if you hang out with them long enough, you'll hear it all. Yeah. But that just cracked me up. That and the guy that cast for it. He's just so doofy. Like I don't. Oh God.
And he was holding the same rifle they passed off from person to person to person. The one that I noticed it mostly because it was literally my optic. And I was like, oh, so they also went for the budget and the budget treasure, like the ripoff, because they couldn't afford a real one. Like it makes sense.
And then, okay, if you've watched this far and you really do feel like if you really plan on seeing the movie, huge spoilers about to happen. So just turn it off now and then come back in like 30 seconds. Did I die too? Like, yeah. Did you try restarting the human? Like,
yeah. Have you turned it off and back on again? Like, and not to mention, it's like I'm fine with movies having a dark ending where nothing gets resolved and it's bleak, but there was no point to it. Like it's also just like it doesn't even hit that way because it tries to make you feel like there's this like happy resolution at the end. Well, they figured it out. It's like, okay, so humanity still is dead, right? Like it's literally like, okay, so are they able to? How many people are there probably alive? Like, okay, we know of 3 and they're a family. So are they going to repopulate the earth? Is it going to be Matilda and her brother like banging to try to make a new generation of humans? Like where is this supposed to go?
Like, who knows? And well, in the world of no sleeping, the family that dies together stays together. I mean, I don't really. Okay, though, I did think one thing that was cool is when they do another spoiler, they drown their mom, which is weird. You're gonna need to drown mommy now, okay? Yeah. That little fish, and then it almost like fades to where like you're not even paying attention to her in the water anymore, and then there's the other camera angle that's up top, and you can see it. That was cool. I thought that was a nice little touch. Also, is that boy CPR certified?
This was so bad. This was really bad. Yeah.
You know what? Next time we play Escape from Tarkov, you should just tell your mom she needs to trust you and then drown her PMC.
You can't even drown in that game. I can't like it.
Oh,
Yeah, you
well,
can't.
never
You
mind
can't
then.
even go in the water. Yeah. The big dog in chat says, "Yeah, weird movies, such a waste of 90s." I completely agree.
Oh, dude,
yeah.
did you watch it too?
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dude, don't do that. Like, watch us so we can tell you it's garbage. We did this for you.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, yeah,
We really did.
I'm sorry we couldn't save you. This is a bullet I wish I could have taken for all the viewers. Man, this one's bad.
We took it, but apparently we didn't take it for all of you though. But yes, my condolences, Big Dog. I'm very sorry that yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
And dude, okay, I'm sure you can tell. Like, big spoilers, but don't watch it. Who cares?
Yeah.
I'm sure you can tell, and I don't know if you thought about it when you were watching the movie, because I know that when we did You Don't Know Jack, that you just knew, like, in your heart, you just knew that I was gonna love the decaf is for cowards line.
Yeah.
And there's times, like in movies, like for instance, when we did wasn't it Inside Llewyn Davis? Didn't you? Oh, have we even aired that one yet?
Yeah. I buried that. Yeah. It's
Okay.
Up there. It's up there.
So didn't you pick the cat
Oh yeah.
as your crush? Okay.
Yeah.
I had a feeling that you would.
Yeah.
Can you think of a point in the movie where I may have, based on what I say about movies, where I may have just completely just given up on movies altogether because of one thing I thought that they were going to do that they didn't? That they still almost kind of did?
No. Okay. I thought you were going to ask me if I could think of a part that you obviously loved. But no.
Can you think of a part that I obviously hated?
No, I can't. What is it? What is it?
Well, I didn't actually, but I almost did. When the camera is like on Jill and like you're seeing her eyes and then it goes black, I'm like, don't you fucking do an open-ended ending. Don't you fucking do it. And then she takes a breath and I'm like, okay. Ooh. I was like, because if you guys did that thing, like, because even if the rest of the movie's good, I just lose my shit.
Yeah.
I am a caveman. I shouldn't have to think about the rest of the plot on my own.
But it's still, in my opinion, that's still open-ended like that, because it is like I just said, where does it go from there? Okay, so they brought their mom back. Now it's them three alive and literally probably almost no one else across the rest of the fucking planet. Like, where does it go? Where's the resolution? Do you hate it even more now that I've asked that? Are you realizing that you actually hate the ending even more than you thought?
I may not watch another movie again.
Yeah. Well, luckily we don't have to for next week. Luckily next week is all review, man.
It's funny though, because Big Dog mentions that it was free and thought the subject was interesting. Yeah, we thought the subject was interesting too. Yep. But there's something about the subject that when I saw it, I was like, this is going to be garbage. And when Ty saw it, he's like, this could be good, which was very nice of you, Ty. I'm sorry that that tiny expectation you had still was like way more than this movie. But it wasn't really free, dude. That time you spent, you'll never get it back.
True. Yeah, I hope you were like doing something else during the same time to hopefully being productive. Like were you like hopefully doing laundry or cooking, or at least like hopefully doing something so the time wasn't just 100% wasted. But
or cleaning your iPad screen.
Yeah, sure. Dude, so like, did you learn anything for a self-reflection section? I'm trying to go to self-reflection and like,
I got one thing.
What's that?
I'm just kidding. I just wanted to like leave you in suspense for a minute. Like it's okay. So, Mom was right.
In what context? What's the meaning of that?
Well, the fact that at the end of the film there's like I said, it's the same thing with Noah. His character arc is like, so it's very flat, and then at the end of it he has this one moment where he's like, saying, "Oh, you were right not to come here, and I told us to come here," and basically telling his mom that she was right about all these things. And look, my mother isn't perfect; she's not omniscient. No one's is. But there's so much stuff that when you're 17, you're just too dumb to know how dumb you are. And at
Mm,
35, I'm still too dumb to know how dumb I am. Like I'm not as dumb as I was, but I'm not as smart as I'm gonna be.
yeah.
And at this point, I know that intuitively, because now I've experienced the things that I realized were true,
Mm,
that all the older people around me told me. And it's just at that point when he just kind of says to his mom, like, I was, he calls her Jill, like he has no respect for her. And because apparently some things that, once again, where the fuck is the character development?
yep.
Things that the audience never gets to find out, that they leave in some weird unsaid way, which, like, it's okay if they don't tell you, but if they create some kind of dynamic between the characters to show you the depth of things.
Hmm.
The dialogue was all super wooden.
Yep.
And that's really what it is. Like, they're very, very bluntly like, "Oh, mom, you were right." And it's just thinking about all the stuff that older people have said to me over the years that I was like, "Oh, that's bullshit," or stupid, or somehow thought that it doesn't even make sense. Like, somehow thought that they lived a different life than me.
Yeah.
And also, like, and because of this, I, like, as an adult, to try to keep the cool uncle thing, but also because I think it's just a better way to interact with the kids in my family. I try really hard not to tell them stuff that all adults say to kids, in my experience.
Try to avoid the
That,
cliches. Yeah.
yeah, they've all heard all that stuff.
Yep.
Like, and I try really hard to either not say it or say it in a different way. And I just, yeah, that's all I really got. So, hey, mom,
That's
thanks for the advice. Sorry I didn't listen then, but there is so much shit that you were right about. And thanks, dad, because I figured out a whole bunch of shit that I was too naive to believe when you told me, but it was all true. So thanks, parents, and thanks all the other older people that told me a lot of useful shit that I didn't fucking listen to.
That's man, yours is you actually came out of this with something. I stretched. I all I learned about myself is like what little patience I have. Not like for the movie itself. I mean, me being just the entire time like frustrated with my TV that it wasn't over yet, that they were still trying to make things interesting, that like the characters were not developing, like you're like, yeah, so much of it, but then also trying to be like within the mindset of the movie, how I did not have the patience that half these characters had with each other in this environment. Like, especially like we were talking about with the scene with the crazy religious group, and how like trying to like hear each other, or what was Iron Fist's name in this that got shot, where he was trying to like calmly explain,
Brian.
Brian, yeah, when Brian's trying to like calmly explain to people what's going on, rather than realizing like, dude, you're in a situation where there's like 50 people in this room trying to sacrifice a little girl because they think that that's gonna let them sleep, like, and you're gonna try to approach them with rational thought, like you can't do that. Like, yeah, I just, yeah, I learned that I do not have the patience for the situation they were in, nor do I have the patience to watch movies like this. Yeah. This is let's move on from that to Movie Crush. This, I have a feeling we may actually have the same one. Because there are no characters that are really worth like getting to know in this, right? Like, characters suck in this.
Pretty sure. I don't know. I feel like there's a couple ways you could go with this one. Like, because it's when someone says, like, "Is it a good time?" And I'm like, "Now it's just as bad as any other time." It's kind of like that. Any character's just as terrible a pick as any of the other ones. So I don't know. I think it could have gone any of several ways.
Well, what's your? I want to hear yours first. Who was your movie crush?
It was Dodge, man. Dodge
Yeah,
was a character that, like, in the way that I wanted the character to get developed more, he seemed interesting. I mean, hey, what
same.
can I say? I'm a sucker for a bad. Oh, you picked Dodge
Oh
too?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
All right,
100%.
yeah.
Yep, yep.
I'm a sucker for a bad boy. I mean, I think he was only in for like insider trading or something mundane like that. He didn't seem like a really particularly violent criminal to me. He
Yeah,
didn't have like that vibe. Plus, I mean, he was. I mean, I mean, how could you go wrong with that tall, excellent beard, crisp hairline, considering he just escaped from prison a couple days ago? I mean, actually, I guess that just means their wardrobe department fucked up. But I mean, hey, Dodge, look me up. Maybe I can get you a better script.
Yeah, no, he's definitely, in my opinion, the only choice that makes sense. He was the only character that like was redeeming at all. The only like, and one thing that I thought you were gonna like is whenever they salvage through the plane crash, he comes out with a pair of shoes that he liked. I thought that was something you would respect about him too. It's like they're looking for like goods, like supplies in the plane crash. He's like, yeah, these shoes look nice. We'll take this. Like, yeah,
I did think that was kind of cool. Is I didn't really commit it to memory, but I remember being like, hey, yeah, pick those up.
Yeah.
I feel like it doesn't even matter. Like if I just saw like the world's over and I just saw like a pair of like gleaming like Jordans or something like that I remembered, and I would just be like, like it's okay, everyone's dead, but I have you.
Snows. I feel like I could be an actor the way they hire some people for roles, right? Like it apparently, like just anyone can do it. Apparently, I've seen some really bad acting. So yeah, I think you're right, man.
Dude, do you remember that play in 5th grade?
That play in 5th grade. I remember us doing like a skit.
Well, I think it wasn't that long. Like it was like maybe 3 to 5 minutes.
Wait, it was for like a talent show thing, right? It wasn't like an actual like.
No. I think our class like performed for like some of the younger kids.
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure maybe it was you or Daniel. I played the captain. I got like the captain role, which is funny because I forgot my lines at one point. But I think it was Daniel because there was a fan and there was supposed to be a storm. And so a couple of our classmates were like throwing these shredded papers into the fan. Maybe it was. I thought it was you. Like I thought that you were one of the crew members that did that, and you actually chucked some of the shavings just so they would hit me directly in the face.
Snow is remembering what Daniel. I'm thinking of the talent show where like bring me the royal paper. What? Like, but that
I remember that.
But that wasn't the same
like the
thing,
voiceover, right?
Was that the same?
Yeah, like the three of us did that, right? Wasn't Charlie in that too?
Maybe. Oh my God, dude! My memory of elementary school was not that good.
You were the narrator. You were like hiding behind part of the backdrop, and we did like almost like a fourth wall break kind of thing. We weren't really talking to the camera. But we were like, "What's that voice?" I remember that. Okay, it might have been.
Dude, if that's recorded somewhere, I think like my memory of it is going to be so different than your memory of it, which is going to be so different than the actual reality. Like I do not at all remember.
Well, these are two different things. Like I remember the talent show thing now that you mentioned it. I remember this now, the royal paper thing. And but we did like a play, like our class did a play. It was for like some of the younger kids at the school.
I don't remember that at all. I was involved with a play in a different grade where I ran a light though. I was literally up in the balcony with a spotlight. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't believe we had a light for that one, but I do remember getting like a wad of paper right in my face that I had to like pull out of like my hair. Maybe that was Daniel. I can't remember.
That might have been. That sounds like
okay. Weird tangent.
Favorite line.
Yeah.
Let's favorite line this thing. Unfortunately, there were 3 lines that I liked during this, and we have talked about all 3 of them. So I'm gonna have to use a line that we've already brought up. God, they're all so bad. Like all the lines that I picked, it's literally they're my favorite because of how bad they are. I think this is the one that like rubbed me the wrong way the most. We're not gonna hurt you. I'm a doctor. We don't hurt people. So bad. So bad.
The line was bad, but the badness made it more sinister.
Has he never heard of Joseph Mengele? Like there are definitely doctors that hurt people. Like that is not that Venn diagram has some overlap.
Yeah, a lot of people don't take that oath particularly seriously. Um, yeah. Yeah, so this the line that I picked is sort of a wake up moment for one of the characters in the film. It's the only character that has any kind of movement as a character that I thought could even be described as an arc. And it's right after this like sort of weird coming of age. And the funny thing is I actually just said the line a minute ago.
Yep.
And I didn't mean to. Oh fuck!
Okay. I actually forgot about that. That was a great pick. That was actually probably the best line in the movie. Yeah.
Also the actor Ariana Greenblatt. She's done a lot of voice acting stuff, and she's actually really good. She was in I think she's in the new Borderlands game. She's been in a couple video games.
Oh, cool.
She's done a couple computer animated films where she's done different voiceovers. And honestly, the scene where her crying scene, I think was probably some of the best acting in the movie.
I can't. She also played young Gamora in Infinity War. Apparently, I had no idea that was her.
Oh shit!
That's really fucking cool. I had no idea that was a dude. She's been in some great stuff. Damn.
Yeah, kid can act. I'm very interested to see what she does like in the future.
Yeah, she's someone to keep your eyes on. Yeah, she's gonna have a good carear. What? Yeah, what age is she like doing this much shit? She was born in 2007. So yeah, she's like 14, I guess. Yeah, she's gonna be great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, very very good work on this one. Oh, yeah. Do you remember the Sandra? Is that really you part?
Oh yes, yeah. She's like, yeah, it's me. And then she like misses 2 shots at her, then blows her head off. Like, yeah, yep.
Yeah, I was thinking about making that my favorite line, but I like the other one better. All right, I got nothing. I just want to be done with this movie, please.
Well, let's talk about next week, guys. Anyone that is here, please. I'm gonna post more in the Discord. I'll try to like get everyone, but we need your help next week. Next week, what we are doing? There's no actual movie. We are going to run the gauntlet. There is a tournament. I've got stamina. There will be a
stamina.
There will be a tournament where bracketed will be all 52. Yeah, it should be 51 or I think it's 52. All 52 movies that we have watched this year, one for each week, and each movie will pair off. We'll have to decide what movie was better. I guess better is not really the term we're going for. It's more to fit the should you watch theme. It's what movie should you watch between two. And it will come down to, the semifinals and the finals, and we will have a tiered list of like, you should watch this movie. There will be one movie to win that wins the year, basically. So if you guys come by and hang out and participate, there is at least one gift on the line. I'm gonna have a $50 Amazon gift card that will be done as a giveaway. As long as you're here through a good part of the episode and you participate, you are automatically entered. There's nothing you need to do other than just hang out and chat and give your input. But it's going to be a lot of fun, but we do need as much input as possible. I don't think just like, because we could, with only 2 of us, we could end up with, a hard stop where one of us thinks movie A they should watch, one of us thinks movie B. So anyone in chat needs to break up the stalemates. But yeah, if you guys think that'll be funny, it'll be a fun night. We're not talking about one specific movie. It'll be a lot more chat interaction, a lot more hanging out. So I think it'll be a good time. But with that being said, that's going to bring us to the end of this episode of the Metacast Music Dudes. If you are watching this on YouTube and you've enjoyed the conversation, please hit the like button, subscribe to keep up to date, and comment below and tell us tell us the worst part of Awake in your opinion.
If this movie made you want to stop watching movies forever, or if you want to further keep up to date or even join us as a guest on a future episode, please join our Discord. The link is in the description below. We will be live next week on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/TylaTV.
Thank you everyone for listening and watching, and I hope everyone has a great week.